settle in.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Hi, I'm John Malice. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. Today, an exciting day. It is Friday morning, and we're going to be talking about the affiliation, the brand new affiliation of the Fresno Grizzlies to the Houston Astros. You can call in. We have the managing general partner of the Grizzlies here in the studio today. Call in, ask the question, be friendly, be courteous. We're here to get everything out in the open today and be, as honest as we can. Back with your phone calls in our program in a moment.
I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
We like it here on Connect with Me this morning because it is kind of casual Friday, not wearing a tie today and just kind of loosening things up here on the program. You're watching us live on Comcast channel 187, 43.6, and now 13.1. That's also Me TV. Hey, if you want to catch the replay of this program, you can do so today from 2 to 3, 13.6. That's YouTube, and also the replay on Biz TV at 13.5. That's at 8 o'clock tonight. If you want to hang around and not do much of anything and just kind of watch our replay, I have no idea why you would want to do that, but you want to just record this for prosperity's sake, right? Anyway, I want to talk about the new affiliation with the Fresno Grizzlies and the Houston Astros, of course, announced yesterday. It was the big news of the day. It was the buzz of Fresno. And here's the deal. The Giants announced that they were going to end their two-year development player contract with the Grizzlies. It was a contract that had lasted for more than a decade. I want to take you to the videotape and show you a shot, an aerial shot of Chancey Park. I like to call it Grizzly Stadium, but then nonetheless, this came after the Giants, though, basically said goodbye to the Grizzlies after that 17-year relationship. That's when it all happened. And the Giants will now be aligned with the Sacramento River Cats, as you take a look at that beautiful shot there. Some of the reasons that the Giants gave to opting out is they wanted a minor upgrade to Chancey, which is about, 11, 12 years old, something of that nature. It was not safe in and around the stadium. They wanted more of a police presence. Difficult to get in and out of Fresno Yosemite International Airport because of some of the flights to and from the major cities. Sacramento, of course, a closer proximity to San Francisco and AT&T Park. The mayor, for example, said in negotiations with the Giants, and I'm just quoting sources that I've read on the internet, that, we can put extra police officers out there. And my only question to the mayor is, well, why haven't we done that in the past? I mean, Grizzly Stadium was put there, or Chancey Park, whatever you want to call it, years ago as a promise by politicians that it would revitalize downtown Fresno. It has yet to do that because politicians have been kind of stuck in the mud at this point. It has not revitalized downtown Fresno. No fault of the Fresno Grizzlies. They're not the politicians. They're not policymakers. The people at City Hall are, and the mayor of Fresno is. Hey, live in our studio to talk about the new affiliation with the Houston Astros, it's a 2-year deal, is Chris Cummings. He is the managing general partner of the Fresno Grizzlies, and he's waiting here patiently to take your phone calls. 436-MeTV, option 11. Do turn down the sound. An exciting show today. Hey, by the way, in the second half of the program, remember that guy Doug Vagim? The water issue. We're going to be talking about that and some other things, and we might even touch on this Grizzly thing. So Doug Vagim will be ahead on the second half of this program coming up at 10:30. Back with our program in a moment.
You can find movies on over-the-air channel 13.3. Movies. Our name says it all.
Glad to be back here on the showroom floor on this Friday morning, talking about baseball, talking about the Grizzlies, talking a little bit about politics, and our good friend here at Connect With Me is the managing general partner of the Fresno Grizzlies. His name is Chris Cummings. Good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you too.
Good. We're not here to really debate politics or anything else. You're not a politician. You're an owner. So.
I am not a politician.
You ever going to run for office?
No. That's too hard a job.
So what do you think of this whole thing that just unfolded the last week or so, I guess, with negotiations with the mayor going back and forth, talking to the Giants, and now this thing is set in stone. It's done for the next 2 years.
It is, and I'd like to, and I'm not sure where all of the quotes that are attributed to the Giants came from, but really the big factor for them was proximity. There were other issues that were sort of minor issues, but the way they're set up now in Sacramento, if they have a player who's on rehab, they can drive that player out in the afternoon, let the player play the game, and then drive them home after the game. They can sleep at home with their family. There's no hassle. And Fresno, while we're only three and a quarter hours away, it really wasn't possible to do that. And one thing that I know about the Giants and that I've learned over the last 10 years, their focus is on player development. And any tactical advantage that they can get on the player development end that will generate more skill or more expertise or better feelings on the part of their players, they're going to take advantage of it. We were pretty safe as long as Sacramento had Oakland and they were happy with each other. But when I heard earlier this year that Sacramento might be interested in a new partner, we knew that they were going to target the Giants.
Yeah, and Sacramento, from what I read, and by the way, I got most of my information off the internet from the Sacramento Bee. They interviewed people from the Giants and some from the Fresno Bee, but the Sacramento Bee was kind of on this too because of the Sacramento River Cats situation with Oakland.
Right.
But from what I read, the River Cats also took a chance. When the Oakland A's came calling a few months ago, they said, well, we're going to wait and see. So they were waiting, and they put the A's off and waited to see if the Giants had any interest. So they took a chance too, and the Giants had interest, and that's when the chips fell the way they did.
Now the other thing that's sort of misleading about this process, the vast majority, and the way the rules are made in baseball, teams had until the 11th to sign agreements. If they didn't sign an agreement, the league was notified, and we were notified on Monday of this week of the teams that were open. We weren't allowed to talk with anybody until Tuesday morning.
When did the Giants notify you? Was it Monday or Tuesday?
No, it was yesterday. Are you kidding? This thing,
really?
this thing went down
Yesterday
over like a 60-minute period.
Wow. Caller, you're on the air with Chris Cummings. Go ahead. What's your question?
Hello, I'm on speaker. Can you hear me clearly?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Then I do want to say that it will affect me as far as my going. I will still come, but less often. And I truly think the Giants organization sucks, and that is why I will not be as big a fan as I used to be.
Okay.
Well, what I'd encourage you is to go to a game early in the season and see what we do,
Yes,
and
I
see
will.
how we're doing it, because I think you're going to find that we're going to provide the same level of entertainment. You shouldn't notice much of a difference from the fan perspective. The only difference is that when we feed players to the major league, we'll be feeding them to the Houston organization. And the exciting thing about Houston is that they have a great minor league system. And as an example, their AAA affiliate the last 3 years has played above 500 ball, and we're going to be competitive for our division, which is something that we have not been historically.
Caller, you still there?
Where was Houston's previous stadium?
They were, I think, in Oklahoma City.
No, not Oklahoma. I want to say Nashville, but I don't think that's true either.
No.
I forgot. I read it yesterday and I forgot.
Yeah, I forgot too. But they were essentially bumped out. I think it was Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And
Does
when
Fresno still have the best stadium available for AAA?
well, we have a good stadium, and in 2002 when it was built, it was indeed the best stadium. But over the last 12 years, probably 3/4 of the other Pacific Coast League cities have built new stadiums. We still have a good stadium, but I wouldn't say that we're the top stadium.
What does Sacramento have to give? Well, is it a better stadium or just closer?
It's mainly proximity. And we were just talking about that. The Giants want to be able to have the best situation that they can have for their players. And they feel that it's going to be a better tactical advantage for them to be playing out of Sacramento as opposed to Fresno.
I understand that, but I'm going to guess that Fresno is just about as close, pretty close. And what else was the reason that Fresno lost the contract? Please.
Well, it's the difference between an hour and a half and about 3¼ hours. And if you're a player and you're on rehab, a major league player, it's a lot easier to commute back and forth from San Francisco to Sacramento than it is San Francisco to Fresno. Now, Sacramento also...
I'm going to push you. Please let me.
Sure.
What other financial or other considerations were part of the reason?
Well, you have to understand that the contract is about a paragraph long. So there is nothing that can be promised, and there's nothing that can be required for a major league team and a minor league team to sign a contract. It's the same contract.
Paragraph contract?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
It is the shortest contract. It's eerily short.
It's standard across the board.
Yes,
Standard
it
across
is
the board.
eerie. I agree. This is why I'm just trying to find out.
Sure.
And I will let you go because I don't want to push any further. But honestly, give the fans and everybody a clue over the air, whatever you can do, to tell us the truth. Thank you.
Well, I mean, look, it's wrong to assume that Chris Cummings is coming here not telling us the truth. I mean, gosh, come on, give the guy a break. He's not going to come on here and blow smoke in our in our ear. I don't think you are. I mean, I don't take you as that kind of guy. You're pretty
No.
upfront, Chris. I mean,
There's
there's nothing to hide.
There are no secrets here. You know,
Right.
It's a very simple contract. Literally, I should have brought a copy of it.
Right.
It's literally about a third of a sheet, and another third of the sheet for signatures, and that's it. It all relates back to contract terms between the leagues, but those are standard among all teams.
Right, right. And I will say, I'm not saying that because he's just because he's sitting here in front of me. If he was at Chancey Park and his back was turned, I'd say the same thing about him now. He's a very upfront, honest guy. If he has anything on his mind, he's going to say it. There's no question about it. Chris Cummings is our guest. He's the managing general partner of the Fresno Grizzlies. I'll give you my take when we come back. Just briefly, 436-ME-TV option 11. Will it change your baseball plans for next year? Back in just a moment.
Considering solar? Whether you're ready to buy now or just exploring your options, the consultants at Solar Negotiators are here to help you. A call to Solar Negotiators is like calling 5 solar companies at once. You see, when local established solar contractors have gaps in their schedule, they call Solar Negotiators to fill them. Right now, get 5 years of panel cleaning and maintenance or $1,000 off your new solar panels. So stop wasting your time searching and call Solar Negotiators, because when contractors compete for your business, you win.
Hey, we're back here on the show. We have a call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Chris Cummings of the Grizzlies. What's your question? Hello, caller. Okay, well, not too patient. All right, here's my take on what's going on. Tell me where I'm wrong. This is how I see it. Okay, as far as the affiliation to the Houston Astros, all right, they're a part of the American League's Western Division. They're in second to last place. I believe they're like 28 games out. They're a perennial loser, but they have one of the best farm systems. See, that's a contradiction all by itself.
It isn't, though. It isn't. That's not a contradiction. That's what happens.
All right.
When you start going into a rebuilding mode, which means
Right.
when you start falling down in the standings, you start being awarded high draft picks.
I
And those
understand
high
that point,
draft
yeah.
picks take time to percolate through the system, and they now have 7 of the top 100 draft picks in the country, or top-rated players in the country,
Right.
in their system. And they're now predicted by Baseball America to be a world championship quality team by 2017.
See, I think we're losing the bigger picture in all this, because it doesn't matter if it's I mean, it does to a certain extent. You have more Los Angeles Dodger fans here than you do Giant fans. So the hardcore Giant fans are going to be offended that I was jilted by the Giants. How could you leave Fresno? So those fans are still going to go to some games.
Yeah.
They might not buy season tickets. They'll have a different viewpoint or an attitude, but it boils down to the revitalization of downtown. That stadium was supposed to do it. It never really did. That's the politicians. That's not the Grizzlies. We got a call coming in here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. My question is, I can understand where the San Francisco would rather be in Sacramento. But what I don't understand is how can Houston have a AAA team in Fresno? I mean, that's not 2 or 3 or 4 hours. That's a long ways. And just the whole thing just doesn't make sense. You know, it's hard for us as fans to kind of understand it. Now, hey, we're going to support. I always go to games, and I'll support that team, and I wish they win. There's just some questions that just don't seem right. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if you're still on the line, but let me speak to what you just talked about.
Yeah.
There is not symmetry between the major league cities and the AAA cities, or there's not perfect symmetry. So some teams are going to have to travel, and there was a sort of a strange thing that happened this year in that Los Angeles moved to Oklahoma City. And you might wonder why Los Angeles would move to Oklahoma City.
Did they purchase their AAA team?
Well, what happened is a consortium of a portion of the ownership of the Dodgers is joining up with a portion of the ownership from Oklahoma City, and they're
Gotcha.
buying the team.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that if the Dodgers could have purchased a team closer, they might have purchased a team closer. But, you know, that sort of threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the works. And once you start moving some of these teams around, you end up with anomalies. we knew that Oakland had a relationship with the ownership of Nashville, which would lean them toward Nashville if they lost Sacramento. So we were sort of left. Our two possibilities were Milwaukee and Houston.
And you, by the way, have had a relationship, I heard, with Reed Ryan, the son of the great Hall of Fame pitcher, the great Nolan Ryan. You've known him for like, what, 12 years?
10 years
10
now.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that played a major factor in it?
Well, I know the president very well. I've got his cell phone number. We talk back and forth all the time. I know their organization, and I know they're not winning a lot of games now in the major leagues, but they broke over 500 since the All-Star break, which means the end of the year was getting better. And I know it's in their minor league system, so I believe we're going to have a winning team next year, and I think we're going to help Houston get up in the top of their division.
I think these are two separate issues. I mean, yeah, Houston has no regional connection to our area. The Giants did. I understand that the Giants won 2 World Series the last 4 years. I understand that. But you're still going to see minor league baseball.
Absolutely.
You're still going to see prospects that are going to be playing in the major leagues someday, just like you saw Posey, just like you saw Lincecum, just like you saw Kane and Bumgarner and what's his name, Brandon Belt.
Yeah.
So you're going to see the stars of the future. That's a separate issue from whatever financial problems you're having, whatever problems the city council has. Those are all separate issues that might be a little intertwined. I'm not sure. But no matter what team you're affiliated, you could be affiliated with the Yankees for all I care. Okay? Which might not be a bad idea, actually. Those other problems are still going to exist.
Correct.
Am I right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
what's the affiliation got to do with any of that other stuff?
They're really totally independent issues. There's no relationship between them.
Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Question, please.
My question is to Mr. Cummings is, do they have a plan after the 2-year?
After at the end of this contract?
After the 2-year contract, because the rumor is that Nolan Reed's group is probably going to get that AAA affiliation.
Well, the Round Rock is in a 4-year deal right now, so we are more than likely going to end up, unless we stub our toe, we're more than likely going to end up with Houston for at least 4 years. And my comment to Reed Ryan was that our intention was to provide them with a great service in a great city, great fan support, and that we want to compete at the end of that 4 years to make them keep the team here as opposed to moving them back to Round Rock or somewhere else in Texas.
Okay, that's good news. 4 years that's a long time in baseball, so I was just concerned about the 2-year issue.
Yeah. Well, it's possible though. At the end of 2 years, they might decide that they don't want us, or San Francisco might decide that they're not happy with Sacramento. You know, that's one of the things about this free agency period. You can't sign a contract more than 4 years. You have to sign a contract at least of 2 years. Since virtually all of the teams signed 2-year contracts, that Round Rock one was an anomaly. In 2 years, we get to look around and see if if we like what's happening with Houston, we'll certainly want to stay. If we don't, then we'll look and see if there may be other potentials that'll work better for us. Now, from what I know of Houston, I'm pretty sure that we're going to have a great time with them, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to want to keep them as long as we can.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Cummings. One more question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Were we close at all with the A's franchise? I'm just out of curiosity.
I think we were favored by the A's player development staff because of proximity. But there's linkage between the ownership of the A's and the ownership of the Nashville team, and that linkage superseded the convenience that would be afforded to the player development people. We didn't really have a chance. It was preordained that if San Francisco went, that we would not have Oakland.
And you chose Milwaukee over Houston because...
Houston over Milwaukee.
Houston over Milwaukee, I'm sorry.
Well, first of all, I know the administration in Houston, and I know their system, and I love their system. So
okay, and your relationship with Reed Ryan,
and the relationship with Reed.
Right. All right. Reed Ryan, being the president of of
Houston Astros.
the Houston Astros organization, the entire baseball club there. Of course, he's the son of the great Nolan Ryan. We're talking with the great Chris Cummings, 436, Me TV, option 11. You're watching Connect with Me. Back in a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the show, Connect with Me with Chris Cummings. A call coming in. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi. I don't know anything about this affiliation stuff, and so I was wondering if your person there could explain briefly exactly what the affiliation means, what it does for the Grizzlies and stuff like that, because I don't know anything about that.
Oh, great. Good question.
Absolutely. There are 30 AAA baseball teams, and there are 30 Major League teams. So each Major League team is assigned a AAA team. The responsibility of the Major League team is to provide the talent and the management for the AAA teams, so for us. And historically in Fresno, we've had a relationship with the San Francisco Giants, so they've provided us with management and players for the last 17 years. Now, they also get to pull any of their players up to play for them that they want to, as long as they replace them. The only thing that's happened is that instead of getting our players and management from San Francisco, we're going to get our players and management from Houston. So when the players come in, they'll be from the Houston organization, and the coaching staff and management staff will too. And when our players get called up, they'll be called up to Houston as opposed to San Francisco. In the ballpark, about the only difference that you're going to notice is a gradual shift in colors from black and orange to blue and orange. We're still, and again, I will always, until my dying breath, be a Giants fan, and nothing is going to take that away from me.
Yeah.
But I have a place in my heart for an American League team too.
Yeah.
And since there's incredibly little overlap between the American League and the National League, and on a team basis, we can have two favorite teams, and now my American League favorite is Houston.
Right. And I want to ask you, I know we've only got about 5 more minutes left with you, but I need to ask you, so the Major League team pays for what as far as the minor league team? Do they pay for the player salaries?
Yes.
They do, even when they're playing down here in the minor league level?
Even when they're playing down here.
Okay.
Now,
what else do they pay for?
They pay for the players and management. We split the cost of baseballs and bats, and we cover virtually everything else. Now, in return...
But they can't help pay your rent.
No.
No, that has nothing to do with...
And that would be precluded from the player development contract.
I see. So this is only a player development contract. It has nothing to do with a lease, has nothing to do with anything else.
Nothing
okay.
at all.
Okay, so they pay for the equipment, they pay for the manager, they pay for the players.
And in return for that, we give them a percentage of our ticket revenue.
Okay.
It doesn't equalize, but it gives them something in return. And for them, they have a system in place where at no cost they can have their players developed.
What about airfare to Houston? Do they pay for that?
Yes, they do.
That was a question from the peanut gallery up there, way in the upper deck there. So let me ask you another. You mentioned upgrades to. It's not the at the top of the line the stadium like it used to be. Mm-hmm. What in your mind would you like to see done to make improvements to Chick-Chansey?
Well, there are some things that we could do to the ballpark now that would make it better and more favorable for players. Our field now is 12 years old, or we're going on year 13.
Yep.
And the irrigation system, the drainage system, and the piping, they're getting to be old. In the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to have to replace that whole system.
Wow. So you have to bear that expense?
That's according to the lease. That's our expense.
Wow.
And that's about $500,000 to do it the right way. So it's a significant expense.
Now let me ask you: are you still looking for a partner? Are you still looking to sell the team? Can you give us an update, a status? Have you had any interest?
Yes, we've had some interest that again, I think I've mentioned this on a number of occasions. Three of my partners, and all of my partners are on the East Coast, have retired. So we are looking for people to come in to take their positions.
Not outright buy the team, but just be a partner of yours?
Either
or.
If somebody came in and said, yeah, I don't want to buy a piece of the team, but I'll take the whole team, the other partners aren't going to stand in the way of it.
What's the hurdle? What's standing in the way of somebody coming in and having already bought it, do you think?
The financial conditions.
The financial conditions.
Sure.
And the debt service, right?
The lease payment.
The lease payment, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Call coming in. Good morning, caller. What's your question, please?
The players going to be compensated additionally for air travel before they could practically take the train, but now that Houston is going to be their home base, is their paycheck going to reflect travel costs, increased travel costs?
No,
Thank you.
The players aren't involved in those expenses. It's the responsibility of the AAA affiliate to get the players to the on road trips to the opposing cities, and if they go back to Houston, the Houston Astros will pick up that expense.
You know, when I was growing up in Sacramento, and this was a long time ago, and things were different back then, but the Sacramento Solons were the AAA team that was in Sacramento. They played at a place called Edmonds Field. And I remember as a kid, the San Francisco Giants with Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Juan Marichal, Jim Ray Hart, all of the Hall of Fame stars, Orlando Cepeda, they used to come in for like a 2 or 3 game series, exhibition series with the Solons every year. And I went to see them as a kid. Wouldn't it be great to have, say, you know, Giants are long gone now, but I mean, to have Houston come in and do the same thing so that in other words, the community as a city gets to familiarize themselves with this major league team. Would that be a possibility, or is that just that just doesn't happen in this day and age?
Well, it's possible, and with the Giants a few years ago, we managed to get an exhibition game. The problem is that nowadays they can play an exhibition game in their home ballpark and sell 40,000 or 45,000 seats, get the parking and concession revenue, get the ticket revenue, and it's a matter of a couple of $1 million of revenue. So if they want to come to Fresno for a game, it's like giving us a couple of $1 million of value, and it's hard to get them to do that.
For not only for the organization but for the city as a whole, right? To have a major league team come here.
Absolutely.
Is that a possibility?
We're going to ask. You know. We're going to ask.
You're tight with Reed Ryan, so maybe.
I don't know if I'm $2 million worth of value tight with him.
I probably shouldn't say this on the air, but I've got a baseball. I'm not going to tell you where it's located because it's hidden and you'll never find it. I'd never tell you. But there's a baseball with Nolan Ryan's autograph on it, a full-size baseball that I saw him sign.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's a Hall of Famer. So
does this mean when I get off the air I should run up to your office and start rifling through your office?
I'd start ransacking the office.
Ransacking the office?
Chris Cummings, I guess we're out of time here. You got to get going. But I appreciate you coming on the program, and you're welcome here anytime. You're a friend.
As always, it's a pleasure being here.
All right. Chris Cummings, the managing general partner of the Fresno Grizzlies, and your phone calls will continue. We're not going anywhere. Our second guest will be along in just a few minutes here. Doug Vagim will join us on Connect with Me, 436-MeTV, option 11. Back here on the program in a moment.
Tough TV is the first digital broadcast network to offer first-run original programming targeted at men. Tough TV features content that men are passionate about. Sports.
No matter what happens in the fight, good right, left. Coming on strong.
Lifestyle.
What we've done is we've created a technology that allows us to run video games in extremely powerful servers in server centers.
Drama.
Did you cause this?
Reality.
Welcome to this edition of Eye for an Eye. Now, today in court, we have the case of the reckless brother who tried to unravel his own family ties.
Talk.
Bam! We have a winner!
Specials.
I'm Dick Butkus. Welcome to the Butkus Awards TV special.
And movies.
Everybody on your knees, put your hands on the table.
Sports, lifestyle, drama, reality, talk, specials, and movies. Are you tough enough?
Frigidaire. we introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country. The only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2. Considering solar? Whether you're ready to buy now or just exploring your options, the consultants at Solar Negotiators are here to help you. A call to Solar Negotiators is like calling 5 solar companies at once. You see, when local established solar contractors have gaps in their schedule, they call Solar Negotiators to fill them. Right now, get 5 years of panel cleaning and maintenance or $1,000 off your new solar panels. So stop wasting your time searching and call Solar Negotiators, because when contractors compete for your business, you win.
All right, back here on the program, 436-ME-TV option 11. We encourage you to call in because this is a hot topic. It just happened yesterday. This thing blew up yesterday. It was all over social media and everywhere. You know, the Sacramento Rivercats signing with the Giants. That's their affiliate. The Houston Astros now the Major League affiliate to the Fresno Grizzlies. So no question, the social media was actually blowing up to the point that it was almost out of control to a certain extent. The Dodgers went with Oklahoma City. Some of their partners actually purchased a AAA team here. Doug Vagim is here now. You know, I call you the water guy. I don't know why. I have no reason why, but well, you know, you're the guy that saved us from all those skyrocketing. And by the way, I was sorry to hear that we're not going to get rebates on the water.
Well, that was going to be a more complicated issue,
yeah.
And if you think the city was going to sue us just to get people's signatures,
I want my rebate.
They would be out there.
Rebate.
They spent $1 million to keep us from getting it back.
Anyway, we're not talking water right now. I want to know if this affiliation for the Grizzlies to the Houston Astros, one, is it a blow to downtown Fresno? Is it a blow to civic pride in Fresno?
Well, it is in a way, and that's the fact that the Giants have become a legacy ball team here in Fresno for years, and the fact that we tried to, and we were surprised, I believe, and we probably were not as prepared as we should have been on the player development contracts coming up. Probably should have been working on them 1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And finding out what we needed to do to shore up the stadium or what have you. To get that apple polish, so to speak. Unfortunately, I think the deal was cut with Sacramento a long time ago because they've been talking about it for a long time.
Well, I think the Giants were looking for a way out for a number of reasons that they listed, and it was all over social media. It was in the Sacramento Bee. They were unhappy with some of the upgrades that needed to be done on the stadium. They were concerned about security. They're concerned about revitalizing downtown Fresno, worried about safety. And I heard, I don't know where I saw this, the mayor had said, well, you know, we'll put extra police officers out there. Well, why haven't you done that all along? Right. That's my question. And it's almost like the stadium has not revitalized downtown, and it's like a 20-year marriage. If you don't nurture it and bring it along to a certain extent, you know, when your wife files for divorce, don't turn around and ask why. Same thing. It's a marriage between the Giants and the Grizzlies. They didn't nurture it. They didn't take care of downtown Fresno. This is what you're going to get.
Well, unfortunately...
And the Giants said it.
Yeah, well, they did. But I think really they're maximizing whatever they can maximize. That's their mission in life, is to maximize every opportunity they can get. And Sacramento worked out better for them.
Yeah, but it was more than just the proximity to Sacramento.
Well, you're absolutely right. But the fact of it is the Sacramento is an easier place to, I believe, sell your AAA recruits and that kind of stuff. hey, look, you're playing in Sacramento. And,
well, if it was easier, then why didn't they do it 10 years ago? I mean, they stuck around for 17 years. Something must have been right.
Well, Sacramento had a pretty good secured contract with the A's, and they were getting along quite well. Matter of fact, I think the A's were probably as surprised as anybody for them to abruptly be dropped like that.
Yeah.
Look, the deal's been cut. I think we need to make the best thing out of it as we possibly can, and some of the things that Fresno needs to be working on way in advance before next year, and whether it's the Grizzly organization or whether it's a combination of the city of Fresno and the Grizzly organization, and maybe Mr. Standriff can, instead of taking photos of me with his iPhone, which he says is his job, to be tracking me.
Oh, there he is. Hey, by the way,
but the fact of it is that we should be reaching out to places like Kern County and Bakersfield. Why? Their connection with Houston is huge. All the oil people go back and forth between Houston and Bakersfield. Big time travel back and forth. Amtrak. You can come up here and go back down on Amtrak. Watch your game. Start selling it that way. Start attracting people who may have an affinity for the Astros because they are from either Houston or they have linkages back and forth.
I want to try something that we haven't tried before. Let's put up the picture of Mark Standriff real quick here. He is the spokesperson for the city of Fresno and for the mayor, paid $125,000 a year. I called him yesterday to ask him if we can get the mayor to call in. She's out of town to talk about this affiliation change with the Houston Astros. I never got a call back. So do you mind if I try to call him right now and we can talk to him on the air? Do you mind, Doug?
No,
I'll try something new here. Push the button. And do I have to dial the area code or just the number? Just the number. Okay. 9. Okay. Say the number out loud on the air, huh? You want me to do that? All right. It should be ringing. I don't know. Hang on. Yeah.
Hi, this is Mark.
Hey, Mark, this is John Mallows. How are you?
Oh, hey, John. Thanks for calling me back.
Yeah. Listen, we're on the air. I called you back. We're on the air. We're talking here with Doug Vagim, so I thought I'd call you back and talk about this affiliation thing. You got a couple of minutes?
The affiliation with the
Houston Astros.
Got a couple of minutes, sure.
Okay. All right. Doug is here as well. I never did hear back from you whether or not the mayor is going to be able to call in today, so I just thought I'd call you and see what's going on.
Well, I'm not going to be able to give you any specifics on what the mayor's discussions were with the Giants, but I can talk from a basic standpoint.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
You need to ask me a question here, so.
Oh, okay. I thought you wanted the floor. Okay. The question is.
No, not at all. You're the host. You lead me in the direction you want to go.
Okay. I was being polite and giving you the first, the first lob here, but I'll give you a very pointed question, and that is, okay. Here's what we've been talking about on the show here today, and Chris Cummings was here. Doug Vagim is not here. Is this a blow to downtown Fresno? Is this a blow to civic pride to lose the Giants and having to go with Houston, which is in the American League? It's in Texas. They're a perennial loser. The Giants have won 2 out of the last 4 years, the World Series. Is it a blow to civic pride here in Fresno?
No, because as Merrick, in the V so eloquently described, the name on the front of the shirt is still Fresno. It's still Grizzlies. And the Grizzlies has certainly been, a terrific organization. And this is just from my personal opinion as somebody who's been following minor league baseball for 50 years, ever since I was a ball boy for the Toledo Mudhens.
Right.
Which is a AAA affiliate for the Detroit Tigers. I also, was on hand as a radio talk show host when the Toledo Mudhens built their stadium downtown and brought new life and a new energy to downtown Toledo. I worked for the Sacramento River Cats, a public address announcer, for 5 years during the glory days of that organization. And I will tell you this, people generally tend to go to the ballpark because they like the experience. But hold on one second, that the fan affiliation and the parent club is of lesser importance, and I'll say that even of less importance is how well the team is doing, as to whether or not the park is family friendly, there's an entertainment value there, that it's clean and affordable. Those are the things that tend to drive people to, the vast majority of people, to minor league ballparks.
Okay, but here, Mark, let me ask you a question. This is according to the San Francisco Giants. The Giants said that they, you're going to bring into play the proximity of Sacramento to San Francisco. I know everybody's playing off that, but this is what the Giants said. They were concerned about the upgrades needed to Chick-Chancey. They're concerned that the ballpark is not safe in or out. They're concerned about the lack of police presence. They're concerned about the proximity getting out of Fresno Yosemite International Airport to a major city. So these are all concerns that we've had for years. The ballpark was put there, promised by politicians that it would revitalize downtown Fresno, and it hasn't. So it's like nurturing a marriage or a relationship. The politicians have not really nurtured downtown Fresno and used that stadium to revitalize. Isn't that why they bailed?
No, not at all. Because at the end of the day, and we've worked with the organizations. I've been in touch with folks through the years. In my time with the River Cats, and it is really all about the proximity. For a lot of these folks, the ability for for Brian Sabian and the folks of the San Francisco Giants, the ability to go door to door, 2 hours from AT&T Park to Raleigh Field in Sacramento was very attractive to them. And frankly, even though that officially there was no way for them until Monday night at midnight for them to reach out to specific teams, there's always been some, specific kind of scuttlebutt out there as to, whether or not there was going to be some sort of move there, So those issues that came up in the report that you're talking about from the Fresno Bee were directly because when Mayor Swearingen stepped forward and said, look, we would like to keep the relationship. We've had a great, a relationship not just with the Giants, but with the folks in their organization. We realize that there is emotional connection for many of the fans of the Grizzlies to have that kind of farm-grown talent that grows up around here. When she asked them, what kind of things are you concerned about that we might be able to have an effect on, those are things the Giants brought up. But at the end of the day, everything the Giants have said, as far as, and if you look through and see the reports that happened in the San Francisco Chronicle, the Sacramento Bee, and a number of other publications around there, the San Francisco Giants organization was extremely complimentary to not only the Fresno Grizzlies, but more importantly, the city of Fresno and Mayor Swearingen about their efforts. And they said it made it very difficult, but the bottom line was proximity and the ability to drive straight up Interstate 80 to get from San Francisco to Sacramento that made this the reason that they left.
Mark, this is Doug Vagim. How are you?
Best day ever, Doug. Always a pleasure to talk to you.
Good deal. I just have a quick question for you. One is that some of these issues that John just raised, they've been around for quite a while, and I'm just wondering if the city staff, at whatever level, knew about them, and they just to kind of let them slide by until D-Day, so to speak, and we're working from behind. Is there something that maybe we could criticize ourselves to say maybe we ought to have been ahead of the curve a little bit?
Well, I'm not sure what you mean by getting ahead of the curve a little bit, but as far as the issues with the Giants, those things only popped up, in the conversation that the mayor had with the management of the San Francisco Giants at the time where it looked like there was a possibility that the Giants may be leaving the Fresno area to move their affiliation to Sacramento.
Did we ever pick up?
None of this stuff was ever brought up, at least from my knowledge.
Did we ever?
Previously to what we felt was an extremely critical time to try to do what we could to step forward and see was there anything cosmetically that we might be able to do to affect this. But again, guys, think about this. The bottom line in the reason that any change that's happening when a Major League Baseball team changes its affiliation is a direct result of the relationship between the parent club in the Major Leagues and the organization in that particular city.
But Mark,
and if this has happened, you've got think about the other changes that have been happening. The Colorado Rockies left their relationship with the Colorado Springs Sky Sox that they'd had for 22 years. And that's a team that was just an hour down I-15 from Denver to Colorado Springs. But the reason they went to Albuquerque is because, first of all, they had a brand new facility in a ballpark down in Albuquerque, so they liked the facilities. And then they also determined that, because of the altitude of the ballpark at Albuquerque was exactly the same as it is in Denver for the Colorado Rockies. The Colorado Springs Sky Sox play at an altitude almost 2,000 feet higher, so it's hard for those ball clubs, when they're watching their talent move up to the AAA level, to get an indication of how well they're going to be able to hit when they get up to the big.
But Mark, let me ask you.
Hold on. So it's about the relationship between the parent club and the AAA team. The effect that the cities that are involved in the AAA club cities, those host cities, they might have a little bit of an influence, but virtually not nearly as much as they have in the relationship between, in this particular instance with the Giants, San Francisco, and the Fresno Ball Club.
Okay, Mark, let me ask you a quick question. You spoke about the mayor having recent conversations with the Giants based on the termination or the expiration of the player development contract. Has anybody at the city level, where the mayor on down, even you, picked up the phone since you got here to call the Giant organization and say, how we doing? Which would seem to be standard operating procedure. Do you know if any of those kind of conversations happened before this window opened up?
Yeah, I know that there have been always. In fact, if you again go back and read some of the reports that have been happening because of the recent changes in these AAA affiliations with the Giants, the A's, Fresno, Sacramento, what have you, and you will see that those folks said that they've really appreciated the strong relationship that the Giants have had with the city of Fresno, and particularly Mayor Swearingen. Yeah. So these conversations have been going on. It just was coming down to, at the very end, look, if there's let us know what the issues are. If we have any, ability to fix them, let's fix them. But up until then, the relationship had always been strong, very respectful. And frankly, those conversations had been ongoing.
But Mark, again, I want to get the answer. You say you first said that the first time you heard about these issues. Did I lose you guys? First time you heard about these issues was when the mayor talked to San Francisco organization, and now you're saying that you've been talking all along.
Yeah, I can't. I'm on a radio interview right now. I can't talk.
I'm sorry?
What's that, Mark? Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I lost you guys.
Okay, go ahead, Doug.
Okay. You said that originally that the first you heard of these was when the mayor first started talking to the Giant organization, and now you're telling...
No. Doug, I'm sorry you misunderstood my words. What I said was when the mayor first started talking, when it became apparent that it looked like the team was going to be leaving.
Yeah, but the issues, though, that they brought up, you said that's the first you heard of them. At least that's what I would think if I went back and played the tape here, that's what I heard you say. The first you heard of these issues was when the mayor spoke to the Giant organization just recently. Have you folks, now you were saying earlier, just a little bit ago, that you guys were talking to them all along. Well, why weren't these issues ever brought up if you were talking to them all along?
No, but we weren't talking to them about the possibility of leaving Fresno.
Well, yeah, but isn't that all part of the conjunctive relationship? It's all part of the whole bag of tricks.
No, Doug, unfortunately, a lot of people who are involved in the public discourse in this need to understand that you cannot officially talk about anything involving moving of a minor league franchise until the season is officially over.
I'm talking about how you doing. How are we doing? How's it going here?
Yeah.
And you can't even bring that up? Is that what you're saying?
No, Doug, and I'm sorry that you feel like you have to be contentious with it. We're both on the same side here. I'm trying to tell you that there have been ongoing conversations, but those conversations have been basically, hey, listen, relationship is good. You guys are feeling good about, being in Fresno. That was the indication that we got. Okay. It wasn't until things looked like the San Francisco Giants were going to be leaving Fresno, as far as their affiliation with the mayor, finally said, look, if I can, if it's in my power, what things are you concerned about? That's it. That's all.
Could part of the reason be that the Giants just left us jolted here is the fact that the Grizzlies are hurting financially? Chris Cummings, the managing general partner of the Grizzlies, looking for 3 new partners or someone to just outright buy the team. He can't even find a buyer because of all the financial problems. Could that have been a reason too?
No, again, go back and look at the reasons why Brian Sabian, the folks, the organization with the San Francisco Giants said that they decided that it was a better fit for them in Sacramento, and it was about the proximity of that team and its ballpark in Sacramento to San Francisco.
Isn't that just a nice way of saying goodbye? I don't want your problems anymore?
No, it's not. And again, these affiliations change on a regular basis. You know, it's you know, what a major league team does is provide a group of ball players and prospects, plus the manager and the training staff, to an organization in a particular city. And those affiliations change on a regular basis. In fact, if you look this year, this is just one of many merry-go-rounds that happen like this. They play musical chairs every couple of years, and affiliations change on a regular basis. When I was, working for the Toledo Mudhens organization way back in the day when I was a kid, we went through 3 changes in the space of 8 years. That these things, this is not uncommon, guys. And I think that, rather than look back and say, oh, what have we done? San Francisco was doing what it felt was best for us to be able to develop its talent, not about what was going on within the ballpark or the city of Fresno or anything like that. And it's the same thing true for each one of the organizations that are out there that are making switches. But the thing is, looking forward here, I would commend the Fresno Grizzlies, for being able to step forward and pulling in, frankly, which is what I think is the top-notch group of farm talent that the Houston Astros have that will bring an energy back to the ballpark downtown and, frankly, bring a winning team. This franchise that used to be in Oklahoma City finished first in the division 2 years ago, finished second in the division this year, and the only reason I think they didn't finish in first is because their manager, who, by the way, was the manager for the Sacramento River Cats when I worked for them and gave them 3 Pacific Coast League titles, had cancer earlier this year and was battling for the beginning of the season. He came back, they righted the ship. You're going to see a tremendous improvement in the amount of in the talent level that's going to be on the field at Chuck Shanty Park.
Mark, time's limited here. Let me ask this one last question. Moving on, and I agree with you. The Houston Astros and Kern County, Bakersfield have a lot of connection because of the oil industry. Houston and Bakersfield, a lot of connection. I would hope you guys would do a reach out to the Kern County folks. Amtrak goes up and back in the same playing venue. You come here earlier, maybe an hour earlier, and go home about 9:55. You could start reaching out to the Kern County folks. A lot of people from Houston in that area coming back and forth and working. I would hope we do that, number one. Number two, Minute Maid Park and orange juice. My God, you can't have a better arrangement than that. I hope you guys are working on the whole thing, you and the Grizzly organization, because you got talent to do that, and so do they. So,
well, considering that we've had all of 24 hours since the contract was signed, we haven't had much movement. But I'm sure that the Grizzlies are doing everything they can right now to start thinking about themselves. How can we present this to the public in a way that they understand that this is actually good news with the Astros coming in, that they're going to have excitement at the ballpark, and to provide any opportunity for promotion out there to put, frankly, if you pardon my language, to put butts in seats. Yeah. Because it's about the fan experience. It's about having fun. And you guys, I don't know how many times you've been down to the ballpark. I go on a regular basis because I love baseball. I love the game. And again, the bottom line for me is the name that's on the front of the shirt, because the players change constantly. I mean, I remember when I was with the River Cats, we had a guy that got pulled from the outfield in the middle of the 7th inning in a playoff game to be sent to Arlington, Texas to join up with the Oakland Athletics. These things happen on a regular basis, but the important thing is the name on the shirt still says Fresno, go Grizzlies, and we're looking forward to 2015.
Okay, Mark, we're out of time. We got to go. But, hey, make me a promise here on the air right now. I want to try to get the mayor on this program at some point to talk about all kinds of issues. I've been trying to get her on this program for 3 years. She's been dodging me. Can you get her on?
Well, the challenge obviously right now is, with the campaign going on, she's getting ready for the convention down in Los Angeles for the California Republican Party this weekend. But again, I put requests out there, we put them on the calendar, and, my goal is to try to get the two of you together here sometime in the near future.
Maybe we'll wait till after the campaign. How's that? Get her on the program.
Again, hope springs eternal. I think that's the theme of our conversation here today.
You got it. Mark Standriff, always good to talk to you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, take care. Well, Doug, as I see it here, and we cut that off. I don't care who's affiliated with the team. We got about a minute left. Okay, you're still going to have the problems with the upgrading of the stadium. You're still going to have the problems of the proximity to, safety in and around the stadium, and you're going to continue to have these financial problems. Until you solve those problems, I don't care who's affiliated with this team. Fans may or may not go.
Very true, but as Mark was saying, they got to get people in seats, and one of the things that I'm suggesting is that they reach out to Kern County, Bakersfield, the Houston connection and all that with the Amtrak ability, that, number one. And number two is that they do have to shore up some of those problems, and they should have been doing it. I didn't think we heard an answer whether or not they spoke to the Giants.
I never did hear an answer.
No,
did you?
No.
I didn't get it.
No, Mark can fill 48 hours and 24 real easy.
I know, but I got to get you back on the show here.
Okay.
It's been too long here. Doug Vagim, our friend here, thanks to Chris Cummings again, and Mark Standriff. Hey, back here on Monday with another edition of Connect with Me. Have a great weekend. See you then.